Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're here to cut through the noise and really look at what's shaping India today, April 28th, 2025.
That's right. News comes thick and fast, and it's easy to miss the deeper context.
So today, we've got a curated stack of reports, and we're going to go beyond the headlines.
We'll cover quite a bit: sports, the economy, international relations.
Legal matters, tech advancements too.
Yeah.
Basically a snapshot of India right now.
And our goal really is to give you that clarity, that extra layer of understanding.
Exactly, to help you see the significance behind these key events.
Think of it as connecting the dots, looking at the so what behind it all.
Okay, let's jump right in. First up, some big news from the IPL.
Ah, yes. The Royal Challengers' Bengaluru victory over Delhi Capitals, that's got people talking.
A thrilling win by 6 wickets, apparently.
And a significant one, too. It pushes RCB right to the top of the IPL table. That changes things.
It wasn't straightforward, though, was it? Reports say RCB lost some early wickets.
They did. It looked a bit shaky for a moment, but then Krunal Pandya and Virat Kohli stepped up.
That partnership, 119 runs. Crucial. Pandya's innings unbeaten 73 off just 47 balls. That's match-winning stuff.
Absolutely explosive under pressure. And Kohli, well, he played that classic anchor role, 51 runs from 47 balls.
And that innings actually pushed Kohli to become the leading run scorer for the season, didn't it?
That's right, 443 runs in 10 innings now. It just shows his, enduring quality and influence in the league. He's consistently brilliant.
Definitely. And speaking of top performers, let's look at the wider IPL picture. Sai Suthersan from Gujarat Titans.
He's currently holding the orange cap, yeah. 417 runs in 8 matches. Very impressive.
And a purple cap for wickets. It's a tight race.
It really is. Prasidh Krishna, also GT, has 16 wickets in 8 matches.
But RCB's Josh Hazelwood is right there with him. 16 wickets too, but from 9 matches.
It highlights just how competitive this season is and how much individual performances matter for the teams.
So a big win for RCB. Kohli leading the charge again. Fascinating stuff. All right, let's shift gears now. From sports to the economy.
Okay. A key headline here is the RBI governor reaffirming India's commitment to market-oriented reforms.
This comes at an interesting time, with all the talk of global protectionism.
Exactly. Governor Sanjay Malhotra made this clear at a CII and U.S.-India Strategic Partnership Forum event. He stressed that India is staying the course on liberalization.
He mentioned specific sectors, too. Defense, insurance.
Yes, defense, insurance, petroleum, telecom, even the space sector. He highlighted the progress in opening these up.
And the FDI situation. It sounds incredibly open.
Pretty much. Nearly all sectors allow 100% FDI, and crucially, around 90% of that is via the automatic route. That removes a lot of hurdles.
It sends a strong signal, doesn't it, that India is serious about attracting investment.
It does. Governor Malhotra painted a very positive picture, calling India a dynamic powerhouse of opportunity, innovation, and sustainable growth.
He also touched on monetary policy, crediting it for controlling inflation.
Yes, he pointed to the cumulative 50 basis point cut in policy rates this year. That's an accommodative stance, essentially making borrowing a bit easier to support growth, suggesting they feel inflation is relatively tamed.
And the growth numbers themselves are quite something. An 8.2% average GDP growth over the last 4 years.
That's up significantly from the 6.6% in the period before. And even now, despite global volatility, they expect a robust 6.5% this year.
It puts India's rise in perspective, from 10th largest economy to 5th.
And third, by purchasing power parity. The ambition to be a developed economy by 2047 seems, well, increasingly grounded in this performance.
Plus, things like a manageable current account deficit, a strong rupee relative to peers, and those huge foreign exchange reserves.
Over $686 billion as of mid-April. It all builds a picture of economic resilience and forward momentum.
Okay, from the economy, we have to turn to a much more volatile situation. Kashmir and the international fallout. Several connected headlines here.
Yes, starting with some, shall we say, controversial remarks from U.S. President Trump.
Following that terrible terror attack in Pahalgam, what exactly did he say?
Well, he spoke about India and Pakistan fighting over Kashmir for 1,000 years and border tensions lasting 1,500 years.
1,000 years. That's historically inaccurate, to put it mildly. Pakistan wasn't founded until 1947.
Precisely. And the Kashmir conflict is a post-colonial issue. His comments, made on Air Force One, sparked widespread criticism and, frankly, ridicule online for that lack of understanding.
Especially given the context the attack killed 25 tourists and a local. He did say he thought they'd figure it out.
He did, mentioning his familiarity with both countries and leaders. But interpretations varied. Was it an attempt at neutrality, or maybe signaling a hands-off approach, giving India a freer hand?
Whatever the intent, the factual errors kind of overshadowed the message.
Definitely. And meanwhile, India's response to the attack itself has been quite strong.
Suspending the Indus Waters Treaty, revoking visas for Pakistani nationals, closing border crossings, those are major steps.
They certainly signal a significant escalation in tensions. Which leads us to the next headline. The UK calling for de-escalation.
Right. British Foreign Secretary David Lammy has been on the phone with both foreign ministers.
Yes, with India's S. Jaishankar and Pakistan's Ishaq Dar, the message was clear, urging both sides to dial down the tensions and maintain regional stability.
This follows similar calls from other countries too, like Iran and Saudi Arabia.
It does. There's clear international concern. India, for its part, reiterated its zero tolerance for terrorism, highlighting the cross-border element of the attack.
And Pakistan.
Pakistan's foreign ministry noted Lammy stressed de-escalation. Dar reaffirmed Pakistan's stance on defending its interests, but also criticized India's unilateral actions, particularly suspending the Indus Waters Treaty, calling it a violation of international obligations.
So the rhetoric is quite heated. India accusing Pakistan of supporting terror, Pakistan warning against India's actions, even mentioning the similar agreement and water diversion as potential acts of war.
It's a very delicate and worrying situation. Which makes the third headline here quite interesting, a voice from within India urging caution.
AIMIM chief Asaduddin Owaisi.
Yes. He addressed a public gathering, acknowledging India's right to defend itself, but cautioning against, as he put it, warmongering, especially from some Pakistani leaders.
He emphasized the risks between nuclear-armed neighbors.
Strongly. He warned against jingoistic rhetoric leading to miscalculations and stressed the need for careful consideration before any military action, always prioritizing citizen safety.
So while condemning the attack, he's advocating for restraint and diplomacy.
Exactly. He urged the Indian government towards a comprehensive anti-terrorism strategy, but one that avoids knee-jerk reactions and focuses on peace. A call for measured response amidst the tension.
It's a complex picture indeed.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's shift focus back to domestic issues within India. First up, the GST debate continues.
Yes, Congress leader Jairam Ramesh has launched a fresh critique of the goods and services tax system.
Calling for reforms and even using the term tax terrorism. That's strong language.
It is. His main points are that the current GST is too complex, unfair, and particularly tough on small and medium businesses, the SMEs.
So the original goal was simplification, but he argues it hasn't worked out that way.
That's his argument. He calls it a compliance nightmare, citing frequent rule changes, ambiguity, high costs for SMEs, a complicated rate structure, and intrusive tax authorities, which he believes leads to harassment.
What's his proposed solution then?
A much simpler GST. Fewer tax slabs, clearer rules, a more taxpayer-friendly approach overall. He also suggested specific measures for SMEs, like easier filing and raising the registration threshold.
He also mentioned revenue sharing between the center and states.
Yes, he criticized the current distribution, claiming states aren't getting a fair share, causing financial problems. He called for more transparency there. Essentially, he positioned GST reform as vital for growth and promised Congress would prioritize it if elected.
Okay, moving to a different kind of domestic issue, a security incident in Bengaluru.
A rather alarming one. A Canadian man was arrested for making a hoax bomb threat at the airport.
Chaitanya Voodkar, 27 years old. He allegedly sent an email claiming a bomb was on his flight to Paris.
That's the allegation. It caused significant disruption, naturally. Security had to do a full sweep, leading to major delays. Thankfully, nothing was found.
And they traced the email back to him.
They did. He reportedly confessed during interrogation, claiming he was drunk and didn't intend harm, but the consequences are serious.
Of course. He's facing charges under the Indian Penal Code, a stark reminder about the impact of such actions.
Absolutely. Authorities are warning that these threats are taken extremely seriously and carry severe penalties.
Now, for our final domestic story, something more positive, though it stems from a very sad situation. A story about intervention saving a child.
Yes, this is quite remarkable. It involves two aunts in Singapore who helped rescue their 10-year-old niece in Bengaluru from alleged abuse by her father.
How did they find out from so far away?
They noticed injuries on the girl during a video call. They were concerned, gently probed, and the girl eventually confided in them about the alleged abuse, which had apparently been going on for some time. She was too scared to tell anyone locally.
That's heartbreaking. But the aunts acted quickly.
Immediately. They contacted a relative in Bengaluru, explained the situation, and urged them to step in. That relative then alerted child welfare authorities and the police.
And action was taken.
Yes, thankfully. Authorities found the girl distressed, took her into protective custody. The father was arrested and charged with child abuse.
It really highlights how important it is for people to be vigilant, even across distances.
It absolutely does. A powerful example of timely intervention and the role community and family can play in protecting vulnerable children.
Okay, let's move into technology and infrastructure now. A big topic here is India's AI ambitions facing a potential roadblock.
That's right. The headline talks about India's AI compute conundrum. Basically, India wants to be an AI leader but lacks sufficient access to the advanced computing power needed.
Most of the powerful hardware required for complex AI development is imported, primarily from the US.
Correct. And this heavy reliance creates strategic vulnerabilities, things supply chain issues, geopolitical pressures, data security concerns.
So the argument is India needs to build its own capabilities, become more self-reliant.
Exactly. The report suggests a multi-pronged approach. Boost domestic AI chip manufacturing, incentivize private investment in compute infrastructure here in India, and foster international tech transfer collaborations.
Because without that local capacity.
Well, the risks are significant. Falling behind in the global AI race, but also missing the chance to tailor AI specifically for India's needs, spur local innovation, and create jobs. Government policy is seen as key here. Incentives, regulations, R&D funding.
A crucial challenge to overcome for those AI leadership goals. Now, on a more immediately positive tech note, the launch of Xanfi.
Yes, Zanfi, a new, free, multilingual chatbot launched at IIT Delhi. This sounds quite exciting.
Multilingual is the key word here. It supports over 100 languages.
Over 100, yes. The aim is to bridge communication gaps, promote inclusivity. Think about accessing information on education, healthcare, government services in your own language.
That could be incredibly useful in a country as linguistically diverse as India.
Definitely. It aligns well with the government's push for digital literacy and tech empowerment. Making information accessible, especially for those facing language barriers, is a huge step.
And being launched at IIT Delhi highlights the role of academic institutions in driving this kind of innovation.
It certainly does. It's expected to be a valuable tool for individuals, businesses, even government agencies needing multilingual communication, a real potential boost for efficiency and inclusivity.
Okay, one more in this section, shifting slightly to physical infrastructure, specifically aviation. Dubai Airport CEO sees big potential for India.
He does. Paul Griffiths highlighted India's strategic location, growing economy, and expanding aviation infrastructure. He believes India has a significant opportunity to become a major global transit hub.
Like Dubai itself, essentially.
Yeah.
What factors did he point to?
The growing middle class, increasing demand for air travel, these necessitate more capacity and connectivity. He suggested focusing on world-class airport infrastructure, smoother regulations, and better airlinks.
Drawing lessons from Dubai's success.
Yes. He noted Dubai's transformation was driven by infrastructure investment and a business-friendly approach. He also mentioned the large Indian diaspora as a built-in opportunity for airlines.
So his message is basically collaborate, build a strategy, leverage your strengths.
Pretty much. He encouraged Indian aviation stakeholders to work together to enhance India's global role, which would also significantly benefit the economy. Lots of potential there.
Absolutely. Okay, finally, let's look at governance and justice. Some interesting developments here. First, a positive step for gender equality.
Yes, a record number of women have been selected for the Indian Administrative Service, the IAS, in a recent batch.
A historic milestone, 41 women.
It really is. It's seen as reflecting a broader trend of increasing female participation, thanks to better education access, changing attitudes, and government initiatives.
And more women in the bureaucracy is expected to bring positive changes to governance itself.
That's the expectation. Different perspectives, potentially more focus on areas like healthcare, education, social welfare. Of course, challenges remain patriarchal attitudes, ensuring supportive work environments.
But still, a very significant step towards a more inclusive and representative civil service.
Undeniably. Now, shifting to the judicial system, India Inc. has stepped in with a proposal.
A 5-point plan to tackle the massive backlog of court cases. This is a long-standing issue.
A huge issue. This plan aims to improve efficiency and access to justice. The 5 points are using technology more effectively.
Like e-filing, virtual hearings, maybe even AI for case management.
Exactly. Second, promoting alternative dispute resolution mediation, arbitration to take pressure off courts. Third, optimizing court processes, standard procedures, fewer adjournments,
And the last 2 points.
improving physical infrastructure, modernizing courtrooms, better facilities, and finally, enhancing judicial capacity, more judges, continuous training.
A comprehensive approach. India Inc. believes this can really make a dent in the backlog.
They seem confident it can significantly improve the judiciary's functioning. It shows the private sector's commitment to supporting judicial reform and the rule of law.
Okay, our last headline today concerns cross-border movement. 537 Pakistani nationals departed India recently.
Yes, via the Attariwaga border over 4 days. These were individuals whose short-term visas had expired.
Visas for things like religious tourism, visiting family, medical treatment.
Correct. Their departures were monitored by Indian Immigration and Security with special measures for a smooth process. The Pakistani High Commission also coordinated.
So even with current tensions, these mechanisms for permitted travel are still functioning.
It appears so. It shows that despite the strained relationship, necessary cross-border movements for specific reasons are still being facilitated, albeit under heightened security.
Right, a sign that some channels remain open despite the broader political climate.
Precisely. A snapshot of the practical realities on the ground.
Well, that covers our deep dive for today. We've gone from the IPL excitement
To India's economic ambitions and the reforms driving them.
and navigated the very complex regional dynamics following the Pahalgam attack.
Looked at domestic issues like GST debates and heartwarming interventions.
And explored tech challenges and innovations like AI compute and multilingual chatbots.
And touched on progress and proposals in governance and justice.
It really paints a picture, doesn't it? A dynamic, evolving India facing challenges, but also seizing opportunities on so many fronts.
Absolutely. Each of these stories connects to a larger narrative about India today, impacting how you might understand its role domestically and globally.
So, considering all these interconnected headlines we've discussed today, the economy, security, technology, society, here's a thought to leave you with. What single area do you think will ultimately have the most significant impact on India's path over the next 10 years? Something to ponder.
Indeed. Thanks for joining us for this deep dive.